Welcome to Talking Halos, Derek Ciapola with my co-host, my partners in crime, Nate Green and Jared Timms. And that's about all the energy I have because another season with no Angels postseason, I'm getting tired already. Okay, not really. Yeah, I am. Guys, how you doing?
Good. We're hanging in there. Postseason, World Series, all that fun stuff.
I kind of feel like you, Derek. So yes.
It's getting old. Like,
Oh, it's been old. It's been old.
All right. So, Yankees are out, right? So we have Astros. The Padres are out. So Phillies. Did anybody here call Astros Phillies World Series by chance?
I had Phillies in the World Series, but not Astros.
You had the Phillies in the World Series?
I did preseason
so you
too.
were the one outside of Philly.
I did. I did have them preseason, and I had them right when the postseason started. So I don't know why. I just like Wheeler and Nola.
Yeah, and I had the Mets, and you had the Padres, right, Jared?
Yep.
Yeah, failures. We're failures here.
Yeah. Let's see.
So, well, anywho, I guess we'll have to wait till the end of the show to make our calls on who we think who's going to win this bad boy. But I mean, it's looking pretty rough. Here we go. Other things going on. Shohei Ohtani. The AP reports yesterday. Was it yesterday? A couple days ago. My bad. A couple days ago that, here we go, quoting them. Japanese two-way star Shohei Ohtani arrived home on Tuesday and was critical of his Los Angeles Angels team missing the MLB playoffs again. I have a rather negative impression of the season, he said. Ohtani can become a free agent after next season. Now, just to note, some people who speak Japanese on this thread said, listen, the AP is full of crap. He didn't badmouth the Angels at all. That's the AP misrepresenting. If you've gotten to know me at all in the past couple of years, I'm very anti-mainstream media. I think we have a lot of bad press out there, but there's room to interpret here. And I will go to Jared first. What are your first thoughts with this little news coming out?
Yeah, you can take it multiple ways. I said it right. You got to read the article. You have to read the whole thing. I think AP put it out as like Shohei Ohtani says he's disappointed in the season, and rightfully so. Who's excited about the Angels season that they just had, right? I think everybody that's on the Angels, everybody that played for the Angels, everybody within the Angels organization, fans are upset about the season. That's fine. That it is what it is. But if Shohei Ohtani says something, the press has got to, take it full bore. So is he disappointed? I'm sure he is. I'm definitely sure he is. Was it over-exaggerated? Probably. And I think, it got so over-exaggerated that, we're already talking Shohei Ohtani trade, which I'm sure we will talk lots and lots about this offseason. I think if you guys have been here long enough, you guys know myself and Nate's feeling about Shohei Ohtani and trading Shohei Ohtani, how to build around Shohei Ohtani. Can you build around Shohei Ohtani? I know other people have different opinions on that, and I understand both sides. But when it comes to this article, I think that, again, the press being the press needs to blow stuff up, needs news to talk about when it comes to baseball. So, heck, why not? Shohei Ohtani's going into a contract year. Who knows what happens this offseason, right?
Nate?
Yeah, very similar to Jared. I think if you talk to the other teams that didn't make the playoffs, you could talk to star players on other teams. They're going to say the same thing. They're disappointed in the way the season ended. Heck, you can talk to Dodger players right now, and they will say they are disappointed with the way the season ended. So, everyone, there's going to be 29 teams, maybe 28 teams that are, maybe if the Phillies lose, they might be excited that they made the World Series. But I think you're going to have 28, 29 teams that are disappointed with their season no matter what. Because the end goal is to win the World Series. And so I think the AP just really took one quote and made it sound like it was way worse than it was. Obviously, if you read the entire article, there's some more that kind of says like he just felt like it was long. The season was long, and when you're 25 games out of the division and 15 games out of the wild card, yes, it is the dog days of September. Nobody wants to be there. It's very tough to show up to the yard every day when you're that far out of playoff contention. So I get it. I understand where he's at, but I think for people to be blowing this out of proportion is absolutely ridiculous because if you go to the White Sox, you go to the Red Sox, you go to the Twins, like I guarantee you Carlos Correa is is disappointed with the way
He's
his
opting
season
out.
went.
He's not
Yes.
staying, right?
So it's not a Shohei Ohtani problem. This does not mean that he wants out. This means he wants to make the playoffs and he wants to see progress, and he hasn't seen that. So that's I think that's all he really was saying is like, hey, I just want to make the playoffs. Am I happy with the season? And I think the other thing too is the awards. Like everyone wants to bring up the awards and things that he could win, and he's like, I don't care. Like I just want to make the playoffs. Like I had a good season personally, but all that really matters is did we win?
He's so hardcore too that it's very impossible. He's also criticizing his own hitting, his pitching, his hitting especially. He's not up there hitting 300 like other guys are. He's not hitting 40. He didn't hit 45 home runs again this year. You know, it's very possible he's criticizing his own performance is not enough for what he wants, even though we're all happy with him. It's very possible he's going back saying, listen, I would have liked to have hit 280. I would have liked to have hit 40. I would have, there are different things you can take from it. And of course, like who wouldn't be upset? Now you shook your head, Jared, when I mentioned Carlos Correa opting out. I didn't miss that, dude. So what thought flashed through your head there?
I mean, Angels need a shortstop. We're going to talk about it all off season. It's one of those things. It's
my number one
the
guy.
Angels were number 2 behind the Twins this last off season when it came to Carlos Correa. So yeah, I think that
it has to. They're going to be in on them.
Yes, they're going to be in on shortstops. You need to go get a shortstop. I wouldn't be shocked though if it ends up being, like, oh, we're going to platoon Fletcher and Renifo and wait for Neto. That's fine, but I know we're getting off track here. But I mean, get yourself a shortstop, and Neto becomes a second baseman. Then when that shortstop is getting a little bit old and Rendon's done, you move that shortstop to third base. You put Neto at shortstop, and it's the Jeremy Pena situation in Houston. So I think it's a perfect example.
Just to recap, just so people who haven't listened in a while or whatever, what are your very briefly? What are your thoughts on a Shohei Ohtani trade? And by the way, have I even given mine? Because you guys mentioned did I not give mine?
I think yours.
Did I not give my take on it?
I think yours is going to be a little different than ours, but give us your thoughts, man.
No. Risk to recap. What were your thoughts, Nate and Jared?
100% trade him now. It was trade him at the All-Star break, or it was trade him at the trade deadline. It was trade him before the season. I think we've gone all the way back until November of last year saying trading Shohei Ohtani makes the most sense for the Angels to be competitive this year and the following years to come.
It's going to depend on when this sale happens to me and what this offseason looks like if the sale happens. Like that's what it comes down to. If you have an owner that's willing to go out and be Steven Ballmer and go spend $300 million, go beat the Dodgers, then sure, bring him back. But if you're going to continue to spend $160, $180 million a year and spend money on 3 big players, Trout, Rendon, Ohtani, or somewhere like that, then go trade him. I think it's also very hard to build around Shohei Ohtani. I do. I think that when you look at a rotation, and Nate and I being pitchers know this, as pitchers, you want to get into a routine. It's very difficult to get into a routine with Shohei Ohtani because you really don't know when you're going to pitch in a sense. You probably, you have a good feel for it. And we saw it this year in the postseason too. You want routines, you want consistency out of that stuff. And then you also look down the road. It's like, who in the world is going to play like DH, right? Like Shohei Ohtani's DHing long-term. What do you do with Trout? What do you do with Rendon? Guys need some days off. And if you have Shohei Ohtani playing 160 games as DH, Trout has to play center field for this many games. Rendon doesn't get those days off. Jared Walsh now doesn't get days off because, I mean, that's a big question mark as it is. So yeah, that's the thing that really gets me. Joe Adele could DH. I mean, so there are two sides of that. I think if you are able to get somebody who's willing to go out there and spend money, then I think it's okay. I also would like to see Shohei Ohtani play a position a little bit more. Like if you get Shohei to play 3 games a week at first base or in the outfield, that changes it altogether to me too.
Of course.
So
same.
So my perspective doesn't really differ that much from you guys. And I'll go back years ago, back before Trouty signed an extension, and I didn't really believe he would. So I wrote an article for Sports Out West. It was a site that was open back then, and I said, trade him, trade Trouty. And I have, my philosophy has not changed, but even more in this respect that there's so much uncertainty around the Angels overall in the organization. But there are several things we do know. We know the farm system is not where we want it to be. We know there are needs at various different positions, both on the major league and minor league roster. And we know that payroll flexibility would really, really help the Angels right now. So the unpopular view is keep him. It's listen, you can try and keep him, but what happens if he leaves after next season and all I do is get a couple draft picks?
A draft pick.
A draft pick. Okay. I'm going to flip that around and say if you trade him now, somebody is going to give you their number one prospect plus more prospects. Somebody's going to give you guys who are ready now, and all of a sudden you got 30 some $1 million that you can go out there and spend on your shortstop or another starting pitcher. So, and you're getting guys you control. You're getting baseball players you control. So my view, it's a business. As much as we love this game and as much as we love these players, and man, I really appreciate what Shohei Ohtani does. There's nobody else doing it. And, if he stays healthy, he will be a Hall of Famer one day. If he stays healthy and keeps playing at this rate, he will be a Hall of Famer. I hope he goes in as an Angel. However, if we're talking about what's best for the future of this franchise, given all the issues we have right now, uncertainties right now, the one certainty is you can go out there and you can replenish your entire farm system. You can create salary flexibility, and all of a sudden 1-2 years from now, even this year, if you get the right talent, you're contending next year. Because some teams have done that. They flip guys around right away. Look at Indians, Guardians, right? I mean, they didn't just stop contending. They're contending now with the youngest team in the league. So then the idea that you trade away Ohtani, you can't compete, is a bunch of garbage. You can compete right away. You make the right move. So there you go. Was that too long-winded?
No,
Or
we
was
said
that
we said it when the Lindor trade happened, by the way, too, that the Guardians got better. So we're not surprised by this by any means. Like I'm pretty sure that was like one of the first things we said was like, did the Guardians actually get worse with this trade? So I mean, you look at it, Juan Soto trade, like that's what a return would have looked like. I don't know what a return looks like anymore, but yeah, I mean, you could go get a top prospect and some probably
you're getting
pieces.
more than one, dude?
I know,
You're
well,
getting
and
more
some
than
pieces
one.
that are pretty ready to go. Because I mean, you get more than Shohei Ohtani. You get Japan. As weird as that sounds, you get the marketing around it. You get a year to try to extend Shohei Ohtani as well. I know Nate wants to mention that because he always reminds me about it when we talk
And
about
they
this.
get a draft pick.
And you get a draft pick too if you don't resign him. So it's like I said. I mean, you get a year of Ohtani. You get to try to sign him. You get. I mean, I'm with it on this. I think that you definitely think about trading him unless that asterisk happens where the sale happens and you get Steve Ballmer's brother who wants to spend $400 million on the Angels and go buy a winner,
But I would also say, even with that kind of money, if you're going to bring the payroll to $210 million and so on and so forth, you wipe 30 million off the book right now. All of a sudden you've got 60 million to spend.
Trade him and bring him back. That's
Huh?
cool. Trade him and bring him back. Do the Aroldis Chapman.
You could do that. You could trade
Yeah.
the guy. He can all of a sudden see, hey, they're contending now with me gone. He's a free agent the following year.
Yeah.
And something that people forget: the Angels were one of the only teams out there who are willing to say, "I'll let you pitch and hit to Ohtani." People in Japan know that, and they know because he played here for a while how well it's worked out for Ohtani public wise. So I think was it you, Nate, who just mentioned it. There is a major advantage now to being the Angels in Japan, and if you want to bring somebody else over. So, I mean, trade them. I know people aren't going to want to hear that because we're attached, but if we're talking about the immediate future, trade them. So there we go. It is almost time for us to go. So we do want to get our World Series predictions out there. Astros, Phillies. Astros, I believe, have the home field advantage with having them won the All-Star. Is it correct? So I'm going to start with Jared first. Make your predictions.
Astros are hot. I think whoever wins this going 7. As weird as that sounds, I'll go Phillies in 7. I gotta start off with Astros and then just threw a curveball. There's Phillies.
Pause. I got to breathe for that one. Here's the word from our sponsors. All right, Nate. Here we go. You heard him say Phillies in 7.
I'm going to piss some people off here. Phillies in 5. It's not leaving Philadelphia, okay? The teams who have not lost a game going into the World Series have not won a World Series. The Rockies have done it, and I believe I'm blanking on the other team, but the Rockies were the last team to go into the World Series without losing a game, and the Astros have done the same thing. It is going to be very tough. The Phillies, this will be the first time the Astros have to face an ace with their ace on the mound.
And what have the Phillies lost? Have they lost 1 game? 2 games?
2 games.
2 games.
Yep. So they know how to lose, and that atmosphere in Philadelphia has been unbelievable. I have not seen an atmosphere this postseason. You could argue the Padres when they were playing the Dodgers, but the Phillies atmosphere is going to be tough for the Astros. I don't think the thing leaves Philadelphia. I think Phillies win in 5.
Oh, wow. Bold. So, the emotional side of me wants to say Phillies. They are the hot team in terms of they're making magic happen. The Astros have kind of gone through the playoffs just methodical, just knocking people down. But I mean, it's not that they're killing. They're not putting up 15 runs. They're not really destroying anybody. They're pitching well. They have the timely hit here and there. But they're just really good across the board. It's hard to beat that kind of talent, especially when you have home field. I'm going Astros in 6, even though in my gut, I'm like you guys, I want the Phillies to win this thing because I hate the Astros, but Astros in 6. Makes me sad to say it. Okay, so here we go. Any other closing thoughts, guys? Jared?
No, I got nothing. Look out for interviews coming up here pretty soon from a whole bunch of Angels.
Nate?
Congrats to Brandon Marsh and Luis Rengifo on being named Gold Glove finalists.
Yeah, we almost
Brandon
we gotta
Marsh,
talk about that.
the Angel/Philly, is a Gold Glove finalist. Congrats to both those guys.
Okay. Good guys. Say that for next time, guys. And on our end here, I want to want to point this out as well. Watch out for the Talking Halos website. Jared Timms has been on the ball with it, making magic happen. It's coming soon. So be looking for it. Articles written by the man, the myth, the legend, plus a few more people. Okay. And so there you go. There's your heads up. It's coming with all kinds of baseball goodies. We're out of here, everyone. Have a great one.